Number 1. The Bunnyman.
The Bunnyman is a scary legend about an escaped mental patient who haunts a bridge in Clifton, Virginia. After the Civil War, Fairfax County, Virginia, became more populated, and eventually an insane asylum was built there. No one wanted to live near the insane asylum, and because of the public outrage, the institute was shut down. The administration transferred the patients, and in 1904, the process was complete. During the transfer, some of the patients escaped and hid in the surrounding woods and forests. These individuals were lost, delusional, and dangerous. Most of them were found except Marcus Lauster and Douglas Griffin. The local authorities found a trail they believed belonged to them, littered with half-eaten, mutilated bunnies. The trail led deep into the woods to a tunnel bridge crossing a wide creek. There they found Marcus hanging from the tunnel entrance. There was a note attached to his foot that said, "You'll never find me, no matter how hard you try." Signed, the Bunnyman. That tunnel has been called Bunnyman Bridge ever since. The legend says that if you walk all the way down the tunnel at around midnight, the Bunnyman will grab you and hang you from the entrance of the bridge. Strange deaths and phenomena have been connected with the Bunnyman Bridge. There was a young man from Clifton, Virginia, who came upon the bridge while traveling. Later, he killed his parents and dragged their bodies into the woods to hang them from the bridge, and then killed himself. In 1943, 3 teenagers, 2 men and a young woman, were at Bunnyman Bridge for Halloween night. The 3 youth were found dead, hung from the bridge, with their bodies slashed open, all with notes attached to their feet saying the same thing: "You'll never catch the Bunnyman." In 2001, after hearing the tale, 6 local students and a guide searched the area. They found mutilated bunny parts during their search and left the forest after they heard noises and saw figures moving around in the woods.
Number 2. The Dover Demon.
The Dover Demon is a strange creature that was seen in Dover, Massachusetts in 1977. 3 friends were driving down a long and windy road surrounded by woods and fields. Suddenly, they noticed a weird animal climbing over a stone wall on the left of the road. As they approached, the creature was caught in their headlights, and it stopped and stared straight at them. It had glowing orange eyes that resembled glass marbles. It looked like a baby's body with long arms and legs. It had a big head, about the same size as his body. It was sort of melon-shaped, Bartlett stated. He went on to describe it as having no facial features and peach-colored skin with a texture like shark skin. As he raced past the creature, he could see it clutching onto the rocks with its long, spiny fingers. Later that evening, a 15-year-old boy was returning home when he noticed a strange figure walking towards him. The figure had an unusually large head. I was about 15 feet away from it when I stopped, and it stopped, John said. We just stood there. I was looking at it, and I'm sure it was looking at me. I could barely see the shape of it. I said one more time, "Who is that?" The boy took one more step forward, and it quickly dashed into the woods. He could hear this thing making its way through the brush. Curious to discover who or what it was, John quickly followed behind it, reaching the bottom of the embankment. He could see on the other side of the brook. He now could clearly see the outline of the creature's body. All these thoughts going through my mind, John told investigators. You know what it is? A monkey, maybe. As I was looking really close, there I could see the eyes. It was looking at me. I just stared at it for another few minutes. Soon John began to feel very uncomfortable. I got all these feelings that it was thinking to itself, or waiting to spring, or whatever. You know. And so I backed up to the bank kind of fast, and my heart started beating really fast. He ran to the farm street and got a ride home. That night, he drew a picture of the creature he had seen. It had glowing eyes and strongly resembled the thing Bill Bartlett had seen. The next night, an 18-year-old boy was driving his girlfriend home. The couple saw something at the edge of the bridge on the left-hand side of the road. As I looked at it, it kind of looked a minute like an ape, she claimed. And then I looked at the head, and the head was very big, and it was a very weird head. It had bright green eyes, and the eyes just glowed like they were just looking exactly at me. It had a tan, hairless body and a watermelon-shaped head that was featureless. They only saw it for a moment as it crouched in the road, and then it was gone. This would be the last sighting of the creature. Over the next month, several local papers ran stories concerning the sightings, and they called the strange creature the Dover Demon. Since then, there have been many theories of what the Dover Demon was. Some people believe it had strong resemblance to the alien, being witnesses in many UFO sightings. We may never know the truth, so next time you're driving through Dover, keep one eye on the road and the other eye out for the Dover Demon.
Number 3. The Momo.
The Momo, or the Missouri Monster, is a scary creature that appeared in Missouri. Those who saw it said it was tall, black, covered in hair, and smelled like rotting meat. The Momo was first reported by 2 young women who were having a picnic near a highway in Louisiana, Missouri. We were eating lunch when we both wrinkled up our noses at the same time. I never smelled anything as bad as that in my life. I turned around, and this thing was standing there in the thicket. The weeds were pretty high, and I just saw the top part of the creature. It was staring down at us. It was half ape, half man. It had hair over its body, as if it was an ape. Yet the face was definitely human. It was more like a hairy human, then made like a gurgling sound, like someone trying to whistle underwater. The hairy creature stepped out of the brush and proceeded to walk towards the young women, who dashed for their Volkswagen and locked the doors. The beast continued to gurgle, caressed the hood of the car, and then tried to open the doors. The women were terrified. They couldn't drive away because they had left the car keys on their picnic blanket. They started beeping the horn, which made the monster back off. It stayed at a safe distance. Then it stopped where they had been eating, picked up my peanut butter sandwich, smelled it, then devoured it in one gulp. It started to pick up my purse, dropped it, and then disappeared back into the woods. The women ran out, grabbed the car keys, and drove straight to the nearest police station. The Momo was seen again in 1972 on the outskirts of Louisiana. 2 young boys were playing in their yard when their older sister suddenly heard them screaming in terror. She looked out the window and saw something standing by a tree. It was 6 or 7 feet tall, black and covered in hair. It stood like a man, but it didn't look like one to me. The thing's fur was matted with blood, and it was carrying a dead dog under its arm. Its face could not be seen under the mass of hair covering it. The children phoned their father, who came home but could not find no trace of the creature, apart from the horrifying stench like rotting flesh. Later that day, a local farmer reported that his dog had disappeared. A neighbor reported hearing terrible growling sounds that afternoon. There was another, even freakier encounter. A young girl and her mother were sitting in a parked car. Then all of a sudden, the Momo appeared out of nowhere. It reached in through the open window and punched the little girl in the face for no reason. The mother drove off really fast, and the girl escaped with just a black eye. One night, a man heard his dogs barking. He grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside to see what was wrong. To his horror, he came face to face with a 6-foot-tall monster standing in his yard. The black, hairy creature turned and ran. Police sealed off a 200-acre wooded area while a team of 25 hunters searched for the creature, but they couldn't find anything. In 1972, 2 young men were fishing on a secluded riverbank when they noticed a splash and looked up. They saw something wading across the river, a big hairy thing. The creature began to march towards them slowly and deliberately. The men began to panic and scramble up the hillside. The police investigated. In the area, they found mysterious 3-toed footprints. 2 teenage girls reported seeing a hairy creature at sunset walking along the edge of a wooded area. In 1976, 2 people were in a boat on the Missouri River when they saw a 7-foot-tall creature covered in dark brown hair. The creature was drinking from the river, but when it saw the boat, it stood up and ran into the trees. In 1979, 2 boys were on a railroad bridge one night when they saw a strange shadow moving. They looked up and were shocked to see a creature standing over them. It was 8 to 9 foot tall, with long, matted brown hair covering its body and face. The creature smelled like rotting hair and screamed like a panther. It tried to grab the boys, but they managed to escape and ran home. Number 4. The Popelike Monster.
The Popelike Monster is a scary urban legend about a half-man, half-goat creature that is believed to live beneath the Norfolk Southern Railway trestle over Popelike Creek in Louisville, Kentucky. In the late 1800s, there are rumors of a wild animal roaming the Canadian wilderness. Locals called it the Popelike Monster. Stories about the creature caught the attention of a circus owner by the name of Silas Garner. He offered a substantial reward to anyone who could capture the mysterious monster. Finally, someone tracked the creature down, captured it, and claimed the reward. Garner began to exhibit the goat monster in his circus freak show. He traveled by train from town to town, and the monster was one of his star attractions. But Garner mistreated the monster and grew to hate its captor and all other humans. One fateful night, as the traveling circus was bound for Louisville, lightning struck the train tracks, derailing the train and causing a fatal accident. All the passengers aboard the train were killed, all except for one, the Popelike Monster. Since that time, people say the monster lives up on the trestle at Popelike Creek and lures people to their doom. The Popelike Monster lures his victims by mimicking voices. The victim will hear the voice of a loved one asking for help on the train trestle at night. drawn to the voice and focused on helping the loved one, the victim will not notice the approaching train and would either be run over by the train or forced to plunge 100 feet to their deaths. It has also been said that the very sight of the creature is so unsettling that those who see it while walking across the high trestle are driven to leap off. The monster has also been known to attack a victim using a blood-stained rusty axe. However, the monster prefers to harass people below by pelting them with stones and making disturbing noises. It derives sadistic pleasures in terrorizing people who walk under the trestle. Other stories claim the monster jumps down from the trestle onto the roofs of cars passing beneath it. There have been a number of deaths and accidents at the trestle. Local police are constantly trying to keep teenagers from climbing up to the dangerous heights of the trestle and have fenced off certain portions from the general public to try and prevent future death and injury. Those who have seen the Popelike Monster say its head resembles a goat, and it has the grotesquely deformed body of a man. Its eyes are on the sides of its head, and it has powerful fur-covered legs. Short, sharp horns protrude from the forehead, nestled in long, greasy hair.
Number 5. Goatman.
The Goatman is an urban legend from Maryland about a strange creature who stalks the roads and woods. They say he is half man, half animal, and attacks teenagers in cars while wielding a huge axe. The legend of the Goatman began when strange reports started appearing in the local Maryland newspaper. They told frightening tales about sightings of a creepy-looking beast that was roaming the woods of Prince George's County. They said he appeared on quiet roads at night, clutching a shiny axe in his hands that he used to attack unsuspecting teenagers. There was a lover's lane in the area, and teens who parked their cars in it claimed that they were attacked by a terrible creature that was brandishing an axe. They said the monstrous beast hacked at their cars, smashing the windows and tail lights. They just managed to drive away and escape with their lives. Several residents claimed to have spotted a creature with the body of a man and the legs of a goat. They said it had coarse hair all over its body, and a goat's head with long twisted horns and red beady eyes. It was described as a half-man, half-goat hybrid, and was running across driveways and through their backyards, scaring people. A group of local men banded together and grabbed their shotguns to hunt it down. After searching for days, they didn't find any trace of the mysterious creature, and their hunt was abandoned. As rumors about the Goatman spread, teenagers from all over the region would spend their weekend nights driving through the dark county roads at night, hoping to catch a glimpse of the beast. Many parents would call their children into the house after sunset, fearful that the Goatman would get them. 2 teenagers went out looking for their pet dog one autumn morning. The German Shepherd had escaped from its pen the night before. As they searched by the railway tracks, they spotted something in the long grass. It was the severed head of their beloved family dog. Even worse, they never found the dog's body.
Number 6. The Windigo.
The Windigo is a scary monster from North American Indian legend that has been encountered by hunters and campers in the shadowy forest of the upper regions of Minnesota. It attacks those unlucky enough to cross its path and eats them whole. Local Indian tribes tell tales of an evil creature or spirit of the wilderness. They call it Windigo, Witiko, or Weetigo, which means the evil spirit that devours mankind. Its hunger for human flesh can't be satisfied, and it claims its victims during the night. The Windigo typically stalks hunters or travelers in the woods and thrives in harsh conditions and freezing winters. They say the creature is gigantic, over 15 feet tall, and it was once human but was transformed into a monster centuries ago because it resorted to cannibalism while lost out in the remote snowbound forests. It still has the ability to take human form in order to trick and lure its victims to their demise. Though all of the descriptions of the creature vary slightly. The Windigo is generally said to have glowing red eyes, long yellowed fangs, and a really long tongue. Its body is matted with fur, and some say it has the giant head of a deer, others the huge head of a wolf. Some say it is the harbinger of death, and that if you hear the creature's voice calling your name, faintly in the wind, in the lonely wilderness night, it means you are its next victim. Those who have heard the Windigo have lost their minds, and unable to resist, went running out into the dark snowy night, never to return. There are still many stories told of Windigos that have been seen in northern Ontario, near the Cave of the Windigo, and around the town of Kenora, where a creature has been spotted by traders, trackers, and trappers for decades. There are many who still believe that the Windigo roams the woods and the prairies of northern Minnesota and Canada.
This is Mr.
and Mrs. Fright Nights.
I hope you enjoyed the video.
Please like and subscribe and give us some ideas in the comments below.
And remember, dusk is the monster's dawn.